Welcome back to the Trevor Theismann Show. Here we're going to be talking about a question that I have probably answered, 50, 60 times a year for the last decade. I get a call from a parent, get an email, and they want to know how young is too young. Whether it's a cheerleader, how young is too young to put them in the bands. Whether it's a football player playing flag football or a soccer athlete, anyone in that transition period, there's always that question that I get from parents. How young is too young before you can wear Kbands? And the answer is about 6, 7, 8. Now, a lot of it also depends on their capabilities and how comfortable they are in their own body. I've worked with a lot of groups of young kids, and sometimes you'll have some kids that don't really have their head wrapped around the training aspect just yet. And, everyone develops at different speeds. This is definitely not a negative thing. It's just, where does your kid fall? If your kid is 6 years old and you find them wanting to do ladder drills, and let's be honest, a lot of these kids are on social media already watching tons of things that they're interested in. And if they find interest in speed and agility and exercise at a younger age, they are most definitely more than welcome to work in a resistance bands world where they can build their core strength and hips. I would definitely not suggest weight training at that age because it is completely unnecessary. Imagine a body that can't do a push-up. You could do knee push-ups to get some upper body strength. Do you need to be under a barbell? I think not. Same with body squats and, throwing a barbell on your back. Does a young kid need to be doing squat? Absolutely not. Have them do some, air squats, things with their legs. Do for time, do for explosiveness, for speed. Let them move in their own body before we get them under the barbells. But the specific question, though, is Kbands. So Kbands are going to add resistance when you move linearly or from side to side, and it's in a matter that is very body weight oriented. If you put the bands on and you're 6 or 7 years old, now the straps are designed to where you can cut them so that you can fit those legs even better. If you have too much overlap, that's when you're going to have them moving around a little bit. And we want them to be very secure so that you can do any type of movement, whether it be a ladder drill, sprinting exercises, or even doing simple cone drills. We don't want those bands to move at all. So when you trim up the leg straps, then you're going to be able to do any of those movements with no movement underneath. Now, you also may want to wear compression shorts underneath your shorts. It's just a side tangent, but it's important that you keep the band still, and if you get really, really sweaty, there's nothing that's going to keep anything still on your leg if you're soaked in sweat. So if you wear compression shorts underneath your shorts, put the leg straps on top of those, you're going to find that it's going to help you way better in your training. But let's get back to the point here. So if you've got a kid that is excelling and really showing some interest in working out, that is a good time period to incorporate some of this resistance training. But the sets need to be structured. We don't want to just put on the bands for 50 minutes and have your child move about always under resistance. We're going to create a lot of bad habits that way. When you put on the Kbands, you should be very structured. It should be in a concept of resisted and unresisted training, similar to weight training that they will do down the road. So imagine this. We've got a small soccer player that wants to start doing some exercises. So if I'm working with a 7-year-old, I'm going to start with simple things that they're familiar with. Touch and go types of movements. I may separate 2 cones, have them run over, touch a cone, and then shuffle to the next cone. Keeping things very, very simple, but all methodically thinking about how can I get this kid in an athletic stance with a little bit of separation to fire their glutes and their hips more. That is the idea. It's not simply running down ladder drills with next to no knee movement. Most of the time when you watch an athlete do ladder drills, they're not really developing their hips. And as I've talked about in many, many videos, the hips are the most important thing for a small child getting their coordination and their explosiveness in their lower half that brings performance up another level. So if you can focus on these movements when you're doing your exercises, it will pay off dividends in the long run. But we don't want to do small patter step type of exercises. We need to do movements that move laterally. That builds your glutes. We need to do movements that change direction from side to side. Those are going to pertain more to sport-specific movements. Get the knees up. The more that you can develop this young athlete running with their knees up, they're going to perform much better. And let me explain. If you ever look at the field, I'm sure if you're watching my video, your kid is most likely training. Whenever you watch the kids train, notice that the most advanced kids utilize their knee drive much more. They may not be thinking about it. They may not be something that they're always focused on doing, but the higher performing athletes have better developed hips. So you'll see they'll drive their knees up when they're sprinting. And kids that are a little bit lazy in the knee category, it's not that they're lazy, it's just their muscles aren't quite developed. Their core is not working adequately for them. So that's when you want to be very, very conscious of this and talk to those athletes. Tell them to drive their knees up. Do drills that are specific to driving your knee. Wall drill is bar none probably one of the most effective drills you can do with Kbands to develop not only drive off the ground, good core stability in the stance and the power position, and also hip flexors when those fast exchanges are taking place. A lot of times those weaker athletes will keep their knees really, really low because they don't want to work through the resistance. But it's very easy to see. It's very easy to control this drill and start practicing better habits. Drive your knees up. They can see it. Heck, take out your camera, shoot a little video of them. A lot of times this has helped many people that I've worked with be able to see themselves in the camera and show them that, their knees aren't getting up high enough. This is how high they should be. Let's do a demo real quick. Do you feel how much higher your knees are now? That's what we're going to be doing in this next set. And then you move into that set. As a parent, you can be very effective in training your athlete as long as you understand what you're doing and the goals at hand. When you're working with these young athletes, 6, 7, 8 years old, that are ready to train, those are the things that you want. Developing their hips, developing their balance, developing their core. Now, if you need ideas, again, my website, I've got all kinds of drills. I think I've shot maybe 1,100 videos over the course of 10 years. I've always tried to get out as much information as I had because when I was growing up, I had some good coaches. But I'm a bit of a computer nerd. These days, I'm watching YouTube more than I watch TV. I know not everybody's like that, but that's how I am. I like to research things and I like to understand everything about it so that I know that when I work hard, I'm doing the right thing and not wasting my time. So all these videos that I've generated, it was just every drill that I could possibly try to be creative and show people more ways that you can work with your athlete. Because I tell you, the one thing that you want to make sure that you don't do is burn anybody out. I think we've seen over the past couple of years, it's been a big thing with select sports. Professional athletes are telling people, hey, don't forget, I didn't play professional or I didn't play only baseball from 8th grade on. I played all kinds of sports. And the reason why that's important is because you need to get your kid to find their center of balance with power. And if they can do that, they can do almost any sport. Will they be better at some? Sure. That's there's no question about that. But don't specialize them so much to where they get the burnout factor. You know what I mean? So utilize the website. I've got tons of drills that you can move through to give you tons of ideas, to keep them guessing, to keep them understanding what they're looking for. And the best way to do it is to use the search bar. You can type in any type of movement. Say you want to work hip flexors, type in hip flexors. Say you want to do some kind of a cardio conditioning style workout with them one time. Type in cardio conditioning. You'll pop up, click news and information, boom. Tons and tons of drills that you can utilize. Or you can always use the YouTube channel. It's probably even easier to use the YouTube channel. But I would suggest get out there and do some things and evaluate whether or not your kid is at the level to where you can start focusing on those things. And if they're not quite interested, I wouldn't push it. These kids are still very young. I remember I had a conversation one time with a dad that wanted to start training their 4-year-old. And to me, resistance is not made for a 4-year-old. I think the key to using Kbands or other type of resistance bands products it's to build functional core strength and stability in a sports-specific fashion. You can't really do that with weights. That's why resistance bands are so popular, because you can do it in a sports-specific way. But if your kid's only 4 years old, they got a lot of developing to do before you can even think of having them concentrate on driving their knees up. So keep things fun and push your kids to be the best they can be, but make sure that it's fun. Appreciate you listening. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I'll be sure to stick with you guys and answer any of those. Have a great day.